Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the new Studio Display XDR. It comes in at $3,299 or $3,599 with Nano Texture display, which is what this is. So let's go ahead and unbox it, and then we'll compare it with my normal setup that I've been using for years. You'll see on the top here it says Studio Display XDR. Let's go ahead and open it up. And we'll lay it down and see what we've got here. So there is the box. It looks kind of like an iMac box here. We'll push out the sides, pull this forward, and it looks like we've got our display here. So again, here's the display. Nothing's connected to it, or at least it looks like it's all contained in this box. We'll set this aside, see what else we've got. So it looks like in the box, we just have this little package here. Let's open it up. There we go. So it looks like we've got a Thunderbolt cable. So if we remove this, I'll need this. So this is a Thunderbolt cable about 3 feet long, and you'll see it just has a Thunderbolt symbol on it. And it's a nice braided, thick cable as well. So in the box here, it says Studio Display XDR, and then it just says, welcome to your Studio Display. It's a quick start guide. It talks about cleaning the display as well. And again, Studio Display and that information. So typical information you get with an Apple product. Again, no stickers, and we haven't seen that for years. We do have a cleaning cloth in the package though. So let's remove this here. And the cleaning cloth feels a little bit different than what we had before, but similar to the one that you get with the new iPad. So the little Apple symbol in it, not a huge cleaning cloth, but it's great that they include it, as you'll definitely need it. So here is the display itself. Let's take a look around the back, and it says to pull this here. So we've got that, a couple little pull handles here, since I do have the tilt and sort of height adjustable display, so this just protects it. And then on the back, it looks like we've got our power cable, so it's not detachable. So let's see if we can pull this here. There we go. And it comes out like this, out and around with our power adapter here. So let's take this out here just like that, and nothing really different here. So it's just a braided cable with a power adapter like you would expect. And then let's go ahead and remove the cover off the panel itself. Like I mentioned, this is the Nano Texture. So if we spin it around here, you'll see we do have the cover over the front, and let's go ahead and remove that. We've got a pull tab here, so let's do that. And it is height and tilt adjustable, like I mentioned. And then, of course, we've got some venting on the top. So this is the Nano Texture display. With the display off, let me shine my flashlight at it from my iPhone, and you can see how it handles the display, or handles sort of the reflections. It does a great job sort of dissipating those. I love the Nano Texture display. Not everyone does, but it's definitely my preference. Now on the back, we have some ports. So we have two Thunderbolt 5 ports. One is an upstream port, one is a downstream port. The upstream can charge your MacBook at 140 watts. The downstream port is for high-speed accessories, for daisy chaining displays, and then you have two USB-Cs at 10 gigabits per second. This also internally has an A19 Pro chipset with 128 gigabytes of storage. What you need it for, I'm not sure. Now, I did put the cover back on so I could lay the display flat and show you this. Let's also take a look at the bottom, as we actually should have a bunch of speakers in here. But before we do that, let's take a look at what we have as far as speakers. We should be able to see them with magnet paper here. So if we take a look, you can see around the outside. Looks like we've got some speakers here. And that's all you can sort of see with magnet paper. That doesn't mean there's not more in here, but those are what you can see. But Apple actually calls this a high-fidelity 6-speaker system with force-canceling woofers. What we were seeing is probably the woofers there. Let's tilt it up so we can look underneath, and then we'll get it set up. So if we take a look here, you'll see on the bottom, not really anything to see but this nice mesh. Unfortunately, we don't have the nice design that we had on the back of the Pro Display XDR, but we do have some rubber feet here as well, and it says Studio Display XDR here. So let's go ahead and get this set up. So this is the setup I've been using for years, a Mac Studio connected to a Pro Display XDR. However, an M1 Ultra Mac Studio will not run the new Studio Display XDR at 120 Hz. So I'll need to change that to a new MacBook or something with a Thunderbolt 5 port in order to run that with multiple displays. So let's go ahead and shut this down. I'll switch everything over. And this is actually my editing array. It's a 24 terabyte array that I connect to it via Thunderbolt 5. So let's shut this down. Now you can see the back of the display is set up. So on the back here, we have Ethernet connected directly to the back of the monitor. And then we have one that's daisy chained over to the other. Unfortunately, it's not long enough to properly cable manage really. So I may need to get a different cable. And then we have another Thunderbolt going over to my SSD array. Now on the back, you can see that I've stuck a couple different memory card readers. One is for CF Express Type B, one is SD and Type A as well, CF Express Type A. And then down here we have, of course, one connection to the other monitor and another connection directly to the Mac. So let's go ahead and plug it in. So now I've got my MacBook Pro. Let me move the keyboards out of the way just for a moment because I'll have to confirm connection. And let's plug it in and see what we get here. And there we go. It lit everything up. I'll also have to pair my accessories to the Mac. So let me go ahead and do that. That's connected. And then I'll pair the Magic Mouse as well, even though I don't use it that much. Now the displays are set up, and if we go into displays, you'll see we have Studio Display XDR 1 and 2. We have everything on default, and I changed the brightness to manual just so it doesn't get too bright for the video. We also have True Tone, which I typically turn off because I want things to be color accurate, and then the refresh rate by default was set to adaptive, but you can force it to 120 Hz. Now one thing you may not know is if you have an M3 or older, you can't actually use 120 Hz. You need an M3 Pro or newer up to the M4, M5 Max, and you need one of those to run at 120 Hz. So my Mac Studio M1 Ultra would not do this. The other thing also is, again, I'm forcing it to 120 Hz on each display, so it's per display. And then, of course, you have your typical preset options here. It's currently set to P3 2000 nits, but you have a bunch of different things, including medical and imaging this time around with DICOM 350 nit support or 600 nit support. So that's something that's new. The display itself looks really nice. It's super fluid and fast. If we go into Safari, for example, we'll go to Apple, and just scrolling is super smooth, just like you experience on a MacBook Pro with the 120 Hz display. Of course, we have the 50 years of Think Different here. This is actually an event going on today, and you can just see what the displays look like. You can also arrange them within your settings. And so again, within displays here, you have the arrangement of them, and I have them arranged, of course, Studio Display 1 and then the other one on the right. Now this is a mini LED backlit display with 2,304 local dimming zones. This is a big advantage over the Pro Display XDR, and if we go to an all black display or background, you'll see that there's almost zero blooming. Right behind the cursor, maybe just a little bit, but much, much better than what you see on the Pro Display XDR if you're editing and things like that. So that's one of the huge advantages, not just the brightness, but also the local dimming. Now this display, again, is 120 Hz. That's an advantage over Pro Display XDR. And also it goes up to 2000 nits instead of 1600 nits. In addition to this, it's 1000 nits SDR, maximum brightness, where the Pro Display XDR was 500 nits for that. So definitely brighter, just using it from regular use or day-to-day when you're trying to color grade or anything else. Of course, it's color accurate. And one other thing I wanted to test is the speakers. Now I've got some royalty-free music. Let's go ahead and see what the speakers sound like compared to what I had before with studio monitors. And I've got my decibel meter here to see how loud they go as well. So let's go ahead and press play. And that's up to about 84 decibels there. Let's turn it up. So they sound pretty good. I wouldn't say they're as good as my studio monitors. The bass is pretty good, definitely as good as what you get with a MacBook Pro, but not studio monitor quality. So pretty decent overall, up to about 94 decibels where I'm sitting, depending on what you're listening to. Now let's take a look at the webcam. We have a 12 megapixel webcam. It should be much nicer than the one before. And let's go into a new movie recording. See where it brings up the movie recording. We'll go down here, make sure that we're on maximum, and let's go ahead and hit record. And for some reason it selected the display over here. So let me move over so we can maybe record in front of that and see what it sounds like. And I have Apple Park behind me here from the background option up at the top. So we'll go ahead and click record. And this is the new Studio Display XDR. So you can hear what the microphone sounds like directly from the Studio Display, and of course what it looks like as well. We also have some options here at the top. So if we go up to the top here, we can of course change it to portrait mode. We also have edge lighting, but it's lighting up the wrong display for some reason. We can configure that later. But we do have some mic modes here for standard and voice isolation. And then if we go back in here, we of course can change it to desk view, studio light, edge light, portrait, and center stage as well. So if I turn off center stage, it will sort of zoom out. If I turn it back on, it zooms in a little bit. But that gives you an idea of what it's capable of. And of course, it looks much better than the previous generation and will be great for FaceTime calls, web conferencing calls, Zoom, and things like that. Now that I have everything set up in daisy chain, I want to see what the Thunderblade X12 will do. This is a 24 terabyte SSD array that's connected through Thunderbolt 5. Let's see how fast it is. It should be up to about 6,000 megabytes per second. Let me go ahead and select it. So we'll select it here, Thunderblade, open, click start, and we're at 5,300 megabytes per second write speed, and then about 3,414 read speed. Now this can go up and down. It can go faster. I may need to connect it a little bit differently. That should be plenty fast though for editing video. So you'll see what it does there. Now this is an M4 Max MacBook Pro with the M5. I'm waiting for a custom configuration. So hopefully that will change the way this works as well, but we'll have to see what it's like after that as well. So that's everything with the new Studio Display XDR. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below, and if you have any additional questions, let me know there as well, and I'll try and answer those. Now, I'll be using this setup probably for many years to come. However, I'm not sure that I like it over the Pro Display XDR with a singular 32-inch monitor, but the 120 Hz and local dimming is definitely much nicer. Along with the brighter display, that's something I'll definitely benefit from. But let me know what you prefer in the comments below. Do you like a dual monitor setup, maybe a single monitor, or maybe you don't use monitors at all? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.